Attorney Jonathan Elson, reminding you that if you've been injured in an auto accident, it's important to have somebody on your side. When you need a lawyer,
then you need Nelson.
Today, testimony was heard in district court from officers, veterinary staff, and even an animal crematorium that defendant Vasily Platnov used to dispose of the animals. The case all came about when Dr. Suzanne Zervantian with All Creatures Animal Hospital was brought another of Platnov's dogs, this one missing the front paw and with the flesh almost off the entire leg. The dog was still alive and had been that way for many days. The dog appears to have been pulled through a fence, and the other dogs chewed on its leg, according to reports. The animal had sores all over its body and was emaciated. Dr. Cervantian called police to report the abuse. After a bankruptcy case was filed and the custody of the dogs was held up in court, that stay has been lifted and the custody case can now move forward. The dogs have been held up at the Nye County shelter and the county has been paying for the food and medical bills. The dogs are also not allowed to be adopted out until the case is settled in court. The ASPCA has experts and attorneys now on the case. Defendant Vasily Platnov was not present in court today. Attorney Tom Gibson told the court that Platnov is in bankruptcy court. Defendant Oksana Higgins is present and openly argues with the first witness as he testifies and also after his testimony concerning West Coast Pet Memorial and how many animals were cremated by Platnov. Former Animal Control Officer Susan Ryhall testifies as she was called to the property to investigate complaints in the past. Ryhall says that following her investigation, she recommended that charges be filed on Vasily Platnov. Those charges were filed with the district attorney's office. She says under oath that her supervisor advised her that he was going to be inspecting the kennels from now on after a meeting was held with Platnov, County Commissioner Frank Carboni, and Sheriff Sharon Worley. Ryhall says that this is partly the reason she retired from animal control. Nye County Sheriff's Office Deputy Brooke Gentry testifies about the animal control burial pits and the puppies found in the freezers. She says there were a total of 4 pits and that the other pits were never excavated because of the extreme temperatures being at 111 degrees outside. The odor was overwhelming, and when uncovering the second of the 4 pits, 26 dogs were found in the first pit alone on the Amargosa property. The second pit had plastic bags, and the smell was so overwhelming that they could not continue. The other pits were never excavated. Nye County Sheriff's Office Detective Daniel Fisher testifies about the freezer and the 26 dead puppies found inside them. They were found inside a garage, and some of them were actually frozen together, and that was the best count that they could get at the time. Animal Control Officer Angel Hernandez said that there are mice and maggots inside the garage with the new mother dogs and the puppies. He also says that the garage where the dead puppies and the new puppies and the mothers were so hot and there was no ventilation. He also testifies that the garage had no ventilation, and where the new puppies and the mothers were located was extremely hot and there was no ventilation. Attorney Tom Gibson focuses on a warrant, especially Captain Berukowitz, in hopes to discredit the investigation and a search warrant after the Beatty criminal case has now been rescheduled to January 9th of 2023. Vasily Platnov and Oksana Higgins are now facing 5 counts of animal abuse and neglect. There is now a motion to suppress and hopes to discredit this case once again by stating that Berukowitz is in charge. Gibson is attempting to have him declared a Brady cop. Detective Sergeant Morgan Dillon testifies about the dog brought to Dr. Cervantian's office. He says that he inspected the kennels once the case was brought forward and that there was many dogs inside the kennels. They were covered in feces. The water buckets had algae inside them. There were overwhelming smells, matted hair with feces, and also the kennels had many flies. The smell was horrific. It was extremely hot. They were starved, malnourished, and that Oksana admitted to him that they were having financial issues. They were being evicted from the property. There was only enough food on the property to feed all the dogs for one day, that they would sell or give away the puppies to get food, and that they could not care for these animals. Being that he investigated the kennels with all of the evidence put together, he made the decision at that time that the animals should be confiscated. This custody case continues, and we'll have more on tomorrow night's newscast.